Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.com.
And do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
MJ is the voice behind the World of Conscious Positive Thinking podcast, where she explores how mindset and energy shape everyday life. Her show opens a gateway to spiritual tools, timeless teachings, and a conscious community.
To the light. Today is November the 24th. Woo! And not only is it November the 24th, it is the first week of Thanksgiving holiday week. I'm sure some of these people have already left on Friday, and now they're transferring, and because all the delays and all the traffic, it was incredible on the roads and at the airport, just waiting for some happiness here at the end of the year with our cup being full and just going forward. So today is the know-it-all, right? I'm sure we all know some of these people who every time you turn around, you're like, is there anything you don't know? Is there anything else that I could say that you're not an expert on? And we're going to figure out why we have some of these people in our lives, or how we can deal with them, or maybe a little understanding goes a long way. Either one, I understand if we are unhealed and we don't have patience and we don't have kindness and we don't have unconditional love, it could be very irritating. But remember, what irritates you is because of you. You're allowing it. You're allowing the energy to irritate you. You're allowed to have that explosive. And they're good. These people, they're good, because they'll try to make you feel bad that you don't want to listen to them. They're real good. Or when you try to disagree, I had this. And why did I do this? Because I was in an area this past week where every time a discussion was, this person knew so much more than anybody else. And if she disagreed, it was, and you can't disagree with facts. There's facts. When you disagree with truth and facts, but you don't believe those truth and facts, Now we have to dig deep. Why are we a know-it-all? We don't know those truths and facts. You see it all the time, especially the last freaking, 10 years with politics. You see it. You see those people who know exactly what it is, and then they'll tell you you're wrong. They'll tell you that you're dumb, and then they'll carry on because they know so much. Maybe you're just conditioned to think that's the truth. There's a lot, and we're going to dive into, but like always, angels are my best friend, and I love to see. It's just a surprise. Every time I come on here, it is a beautiful surprise for me to see what actually the show for the episode and how I correlated it. Now, it'd be cheating if I looked it up, but I don't, because it is what it is. This is what I'm going to talk about. So, however, let's read it together. So, what is our number today? It is the number 6, and it is brought to you because 6 plus 0 is 6. So here's Sesame Street. It's brought to you by the number 6. Some people get carried away with number 6s, not me. And I'll tell you why. Because with angels, right, it is really important time to nurture yourself on all levels. Eating healthy, drinking ample amounts of water, and sleeping well will assist you to maintain that healthy body of yours. Creating a peaceful ambiance will also nurture your soul. The angels reconnect, bringing harmony to your environment with beautiful flowers, music, and crystals. Everybody, pet your crystal today. Tell them how much you love them. Angel power word of 60. Oh my goodness. Family. Well, what is everybody getting ready to do on Thanksgiving? Family. Ironic? Don't think so. So now we go into, what does the 60 actually mean? Let's break it down. Let's hand over any concerns that you may have about your family or your family members going into this season. Please know that the angels are around you now, providing extra support, love, and healing. You can assist the angels by visualizing your family members being surrounded with the colors pink and green every day. Ooh, pink and green. Do you know why pink and green? I love that is like a beautiful stone. Does anybody know what that stone is? Well, I just lost it in my head, or I would have told you. But anyway, it's a really good stone. And it allows for us to get grounded in, and it moves right up into our heart space with unconditional love at 528. Imagine that, 528 hertz is pink and green colors. And what does that do? It is a reset of our heart chakra. It is unconditional love, and it balances us because we absorb it by grounding in and raising the vibrations out our heads. Family. So today, when we talk about the know-it-alls, and if they're part of our family or friends or our circle, we already know how we're going to handle this. And we're going to handle it with grace and humility. And we're going to try hard to understand, not just badger, resent, or become angry. That's what this show, I want to try to flip those emotions for you before you even get into it. You already know the people. They won't let you get a word in edgewise, right? So the basic concept of dealing with the know-it-all personality can be very frustrating, especially when they dominate conversations or dismiss people's views or offer unsolicited advice. It's not asked for. I didn't really care what your thought was. And this is probably you're maintaining going, where are you going with this? And why won't you let me get a word in edgewise? Are you scared that I'm going to say something that might tip, the big log Jenga tower and have it collapse? I don't know, but we're going to find out. So we're going to find the practical, some psychology-based strategies to handle them calmly and effectively. And then we're going to twist it to the religional spiritual side as well and find out what that has to do with anything. So I understand that it's pretty early here, and I understand that my countdown is ticking, and I want to take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we're going to dive in. So I need a good 30 minutes to have the dive in. So we're just going to play a really quick one. And of course, we are going to go with Rob. It's a beautiful morning. Yes, Rob Fest. It is a beautiful morning. And I am so delighted and so excited. So we're going to go to break. You're watching MBR right here, mbradio.us. And I am part of that beautiful program with Jersey Mike's, Dunkin' Donuts, and Sony Pictures. And here, my name is MJ, and this is the world of conscious positive thinking. We're going to flip those negative patterns into a conscious belief. Stay tuned. We're going to hear from Rob Fest. And we're back. So that was beautiful, Rob Fest. Beautiful morning. It is such a beautiful morning this Monday morning. And I want to just take the time, in case I get caught up in everything I'm doing, to wish every single one of you the most beautiful holiday blessings of safety, of health, of love, of togetherness, of balance, and peace. So if I forget, I want to make sure that's out there. Okay, our know-it-all. Let's break it down. So why do these people have this motive of wanting to have it to be a know-it-all behavior? Because some of this behavior is just, you think, what is wrong with this person? Maybe insecurity, maybe low self-esteem or self-awareness, or maybe just overcompensating. So insecurity is they're needing to appear competent. They want everybody to know how smart they are. They want everybody to know this is who I am, and I am superior to everybody, because they have insecurity. So it's like that Napoleon syndrome. And then they have the low self-awareness, the self-esteem, the if I don't say this, then everybody's just going to think that I'm a dum-dum. You know, that is where that comes from. And then the overcompensating. Okay, this is that feeling unheard. It is that feeling that they don't get that chance. So recognizing this helps you stay less emotionally reactive to that, because that feeling of unheard, where does that come from? Yeah, probably inner child trauma. So some of these things are built in a way where they had to live through it. And now, as an adult, this is how they had to manage themselves. This is where they had to move forward. So, what's the best thing then? So, we have to set boundaries without escalating the emotion or escalating that temper. So, when we redirect the conversation calmly, if we use any type of assertive, non-assertive boundaries, that's, non-aggressive, they work the best, because these people, they're tapped, they're wired. And the minute you try to say something, they I always reference Big Bang, because it's when the same instance, Sheldon Cooper, the know-it-all, right? And somebody tries to say, we don't know. Or they'll say, okay, boss, you be the boss, to Leonard. And Leonard goes, well, I believe, he goes, that's all wrong. Like, he didn't even make a statement. And these people are right there, the know-it-alls, right? They just need to jam it back in. So maybe approach the situation for that. And as a redirective of, I really appreciate your input. I'd like to finish by sharing my own thought if I could. Now, sometimes that can work. Sometimes when you do that, they are so ready to attack to show you why you're wrong. So then another, for instance, if they're not so aggressive, you can say, well, maybe we should try and let's hear what other people think about this. And let's see how they answer with that. Again, it's a non-aggressive boundaries that work the best here, and setting these tones and setting these boundaries, especially when you know them. I always, when I get to them, because a part of me, I guess, is unhealed, because like I said, this weekend, I couldn't tolerate it. I've had to see this person now several times, and I'm like breathing, tapping, breathing, tapping and breathing. So why is it bothering me? Because she's spreading untruths? Because she's claiming that's it, there is nothing else, and you know that there is something else? My approach now to that is, okay, you go on your road with your bad little self. Somewhere across your path, you're really going to get hit, because it's not the only way. There's multiple ways. And when you don't want to listen to an opposition to try to balance a situation, or maybe be helpful in a situation, that's on them. And you walk away. Not everyone can see your light or your path or your journey, right? So let's just kind of bear with some of these people, per se, right? Now, we can also use what they call a gray rock technique. So if they're seeking dominance or attention, then we give minimal emotional reaction back. Minimal emotion back. Maybe a smirk, right? That's awesome. Have a great day. I'm sorry, I have to use the restroom. Or a smile going, that is so interesting. I wonder how so-and-so would feel, or how others would feel about this conversation. Again, using a neutral tone, using short, factual responses. This prevents feeding into that behavior. It's that called the gray rock techniques. We just don't feed into it. Okay, right? With a smile, with an emotion, we could think whatever in our head, but nothing negative, because when you think negative, two or more people who think negative about somebody, it towards their vibration and it towards yours, because you're now thinking negatively. In your head, you're like, oh my God, would this person shut up? Oh my God, would this person just go away? Oh my God, why? Well, if it irritates you, you're not setting up your non-aggressive or your non-assertive boundaries, or you don't have those techniques. And so hopefully a couple of these will work. So now we have to, we don't challenge them. We don't go head to head. We already know that they're the expert, right? Even though they might not be. Most of these people really don't have that IQ, right? And they know that they have an insecurity to it. It's not like they're a bilateral genius gifted brain. It's just one of these people who constantly have these insecurities of their own abilities and their own knowledge. So we don't want to challenge them. We don't want to take this head on whatsoever. and correcting or debating them often makes them even dig in more and full-blown aggression. Okay. Have you ever try to talk with somebody who is radical left, radical right? It doesn't matter what you say. They're going to assertively look at Facebook, look at Instagram. You can't even say, my approach is, well, that's fascinating. Where did this information come from? And it leads into me being ripped. And these are friends, family, whatever, acquaintances, or you see something and they just can't let things be. They're so in an unrest. So ask questions that gently expose gaps in their certainty, very softly. For instance, that's interesting. What's your source with that? Same kind of thing. Where did you get that? God, I didn't see that in the news. That's awesome. May I read that? Where did it come from? These are non-aggressive ways. And if somebody gets aggressive when you ask that, we know they're really unhealed if they go apeshit. They're just not secure. They're just not stable. The other thing that might be able to help is, how would that work in this situation that we're speaking? And see how they can dig in, because you can ask them. That shifts the dynamic without confrontation. It's allowing them to speak. It's allowing them, because that's what they want. They want to be the voice. They want to be the assertive. So asking questions is like they're all powerful. But we have to ask questions that don't demean it. In other words, we're not going to sit and say, I think you're full of shit because I saw this X, Y, and Z. What do you think of that? That just might not work out in our favor. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be proactive with our words, our tones, our voices, and how we are discussing to go forward to try to help. And then, of course, we get to validate without agreeing. So with some know-it-alls, right, calm down once they feel like they're heard. So that is somebody who just needs their voice to be heard, and then they walk away. They're not the common tortured in a lower vibrational stance of energy. These are people who want their truth of their journey to be heard, even though we might not think alike, and maybe we don't understand alike. But to allow my voice not to be thwarted, or your voice, you can make a common statement is, I see why you would think that way, right? I can completely understand why you are turning that way with either the events or the traumas going on in your life. And you have to understand that we all go through life events. We all go through life learning lessons. And when we do life learning lessons, then what happens? Right? What happens? We improve our vibration, we improve our knowledge, we improve our know-how, and we understand the balance to set the record for a continual alignment. And that's how it works. So for the know-it-all, they're not aligned. They can't be aligned because they're very one-sided. So I know I talk about it, but it's the truth. Keep your ego out of it. Your ego is a source of the dominations to pull that out and to waver it into a different level. So you hear me say, and a lot of people know because I say it quite a bit, which is, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want my ego to filter. Or you'll hear me go, okay, and I'm so sorry. I have to leave this conversation. And I back away from the conversation, or I just become not present, because no matter what it is that I could possibly say, it is not going to work. They're not in the communion of gathering of people. It's not the energy as a teaching center. So just walk away. That's me. It is not my life. It is your life. And if you continue to be the know-it-all and you continue to go forward, you're going to continue to get pushback. You're going to continue to have all of these things. Some people might call them narcissists, right? That could be a probability of some of these people with the know-it-alls, because that is one of those aspects of them. So your goal is to eventually just protect your mental peace. It's not a win or lose, and it's not a win a knowledge contest, because let's just face it, the know-it-all, maybe they are genius and they probably are. It's like, but I know lots of people who have Asperger's, or they have autism. They are some smart damn people. They probably do know it all, but they don't have the common sense for the social side of it, right? So we have to believe in that too. We have to be aware, where is the mental capacity of these people? If they are just an unhealed inner child trauma, that's different than somebody who has truly a spectral mental incapacity to actually deal with this. So remember the two and be kind with that. So then we're going to limit our exposure when possible. What did I just say? I'm going to back away. I'm going to take a big old deep breath, knowing that I am not part of this. I am not part of what you are pushing. I don't want to be that part. I want to be the part where I'm helping you understand that sometimes these words, they're not necessary. They're really not. To be the smartest one in the group, it's okay. To ask a question is okay. If you don't ask a question, the phrase, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And I believe that to the hilt. Why? Because I believe people have become lethargic or lazy. You can either word. And I believe that they just don't want to do the work. So that question that they're asking is like sentence number one, and you're like, really? Why are you in front of me? Right? Why are you listening? Why are you here? And I know that some of the people listening to my show, they're like, MJ, there's never a stupid question. I understand, but I can understand that logic. But I understand as well, if you're in a group, or you're in a society, or you're in something and you haven't even read what you're going into, or the knowledge of what you're going into, and it's the very first premises of that event, that's a pretty stupid question. Unless you are forced there by your peers, your friends, your parents, and you're like, well, what is this? What are we doing? Then I understand it. And then you're right. It is not a stupid question. But that's just, again, who I am. That's my journey, right? I ask a lot of questions. I am a why girl to the extremes. I want to pick everybody's brain to have everybody's knowledge of a different source, because everybody's sources are different. And everybody bringing to the table always fundaments alliance. It always fundamentally balances and aligns, right? You can't just have it your way. Well, how do you see this? How do you see this? We talked about this. We talked about how we are conditioned by man, of where we were born, and the society. The states are all different. Born in Florida, born in Pennsylvania. My husband and I have two different belief systems. Me being Italian, him being Cuban. There's different belief systems again. How do we unite to bring them together? How do we do this? How do we hold each other's hands and balance? Because it's an awareness. It's an awareness of so many possibilities and so many realms that we can pick any radio we want, whether it be negative or positive. I choose positive, because no matter what's positive and truthful, there's always a life lesson in it. And we always get back. It's not the person of the know-it-all. The person, the know-it-all, will never learn these lessons unless somebody who is stronger can counteract and dwarf their feelings or their emotion. And then we have to be careful. Why are we doing that? Is it something that's close to you, or are they knowing it all, but you damn well know it's absolutely wrong, and saying, I enjoy this conversation so much. I do, because it makes me aware of an untruth in the statement. It makes me aware of the belief systems that some might have, right? So limit exposure when possible. If a person is draining your energy, it is okay to spend less time with them. It is okay to love them from afar. It is okay to keep interaction tasks focused and not beyond the spectrum, and avoid topics that they tend to lecture about because they happen to know a little bit about it or a lot about it, and they want themselves heard. All right. This is a self-protection, not rudeness. Remember, being absent from something is not being rude. It is self-protecting, you governing until you heal yourself, right? We talked last week about, it's funny when I don't feel to go to something and I see there's so many repercussions of me doing something, then I just, I'm going to step back. There's way too many. Three's the crowd, right? When I get to, circumstance number 3, circumstance number 4, circumstance number 5, circumstance number, you're like, what in the world? That's what I believe. I truly believe in that. I truly believe that this becomes then magnetized so big. Who needs healing? The person who can't stand within? Maybe. Everything's plausible. However, if somebody is a constant distraction, or somebody is a constant know-it-all, or somebody who is constant putting people down, then and everybody talks about that, then I don't quite believe that is going to be pushed on you or me. It might be a product of all of us having to learn it. And that's the difference. I hope that makes sense. Okay. I'm not just saying, keep your distance and don't. No, it's figure out why these situations, figure out why. And when we start figuring those out, and if there's anything healing here, then heal it. Understand where it came from, whether it be a past life, past trauma, past whatever, heal it. Or whether it's, I just don't feel right. Well, if you don't feel right, figure it out. If there's no there is no, unless you're a FOMO, what is that? The fear of missing out. Unless that's the case, there's no reason. Protect yourself. Okay. If it's at work, now we have to get structured. Okay. So if you have people within your job site, or you have to go to work and these people are going to be there every single day, draining your energy, draining your patience, draining your equilibriums everywhere around you, use agendas, time limits, and round robin inputs to prevent monopolizing that space and time. You can also document agreements so that they can't rewrite conversations later. Hence, you always, and corporations, right? I'm a business person, so corporations, you have to have a documented in minutes of the meetings that you hold. These are very important, and they allow for people in that process to speak. It's not a dominations, right? And we don't want manipulating or monopolizing or any of that. You set the boundaries for them. We know that they bring good forethought. However, they have to allow the other forethoughts of a different perspective to come in, right? Okay. So that's how we're going to get around that at work. Now, don't don't internalize their behaviors, because when we start to internalize their behaviors, then their need to be the smartest is all about them and not you. So when we start to internalize them, I know, I this, I that, I. That's a lot of eyes, right? And now you're just exhausted listening. So don't internalize that behavior. Your value doesn't depend on their opinion. I'm going to say that again. Your value doesn't depend on their opinion. Their need to be the smartest isn't you. So don't internalize them. Yeah, I understand. And you can hear certain people who get within somebody with a know-it-all, and you're like, I just don't understand. I can't. They just think they just know it all. Listen to your past conversations and these words, right? So now you're internalizing somebody who's unhealed. Why are you doing that? Remember, what angers you, there's a seed in you. So somewhere inside of you, then if you start to internalize this behavior, then that value now really depends on an opinion. Yeah. It's a little bit we have to just kind of play it by hand. So, you can also, let me see. You can also look down. I'm going to take a break first. You know what? Let's take a break because I want to get into personality traits. Remember back in, what was it? Episode 40, we said, what personality matrix are you? And it was a 2-part thing because I think my time or something happened, but we did it. It was episode 40, personality matrix. And the goal is to balance the matrices. But to be honest about where you are is going to heal you. So when we get into the personality types, think about that episode if you listen to it. Remember where you were in those personality matrices and now where we're going to place this person, because this know-it-all now becomes part of that matrix, and why we already know all those different traits of those people, because then we can have the aha moment going, aha, that's what's going on, right? And it always helps, always. It never fails. The more we know, what is that old expression? The more you read, the more you learn, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? Knowledge is power. Schoolhouse Rock, anybody? From the 70s, Schoolhouse Rock. So we enjoy these things. So we're going to come back and now we're going to learn about those personality matrix, but we do have to go to break because I just took a lot of time trying to explain the different functions. So this is MJ on the World of Conscious Positivity here, right here on the famous mbradio.us, where veterans always have a voice. So we're going to go to another beautiful song here, and we're going to go with our little favorite Dallas Alexander, To a Hero, because here, being blessed at Thanksgiving, we're all heroes because we made it another year around the sun.
To a hero, I say, I hope to see you again on some sunny day. And to a hero, and the love you left behind, I'll try my best to pass it on till the end of my time. And to a hero, you're gone, but I have no doubt that you have made it home. And to a hero, taken way too soon, over there in that dusty country, an Afghan afternoon. To a hero, and the little one you left behind, I hope he grows up with your passion, I'm sure he will with time. And to a hero, a warrior through and through, you were taken way too early, what can we do? Well, we can try to keep your spirits alive, we can try to be nice, we can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. To all the heroes taken from our lives, at home or in those countries, fighting for what's right. Now we can do this for you and all your kin, and make this world a better place for your kids to grow up in. And we can try to be true, admit when we don't have a clue, and be there with the ones we love until our time is good and through. And we can be the change we want to see, and we can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. To try to be nice. We can not take for granted all the beautiful things in our lives. We can be the change we want to see. We can listen to the wind pass through the trees. We can speak the words we know are true for our heroes. This is what we can do. To a hero, I say, I hope to see you again on some sunny day. All right, to a hero.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.com.
To a hero, Dallas Alexander, thank you so much for that. And Beaker with that little heart. God love you. I love those little ducks. Like to eat them. I love duck. Anyway. Okay. So personalities. There are really several different personality types or psychological platforms that can show know-it-all behaviors come into like an awareness. It's usually not just the one type. It's a multiple traits or conditions that can produce that same awkward or outward behavior. Okay, if I could say. So the most common, you're right, the narcissist, right? The narcissistic traits. Not necessarily full narcissistic personality disorder. However, there is some traits that will be misdiagnosed with some people who want to play psychologist, right? Because the know-it-all does have the need to feel superior, and that's a narcissist, right? They also have that can't tolerate being wrong attitude. That's the narcissist. They also have dominates conversations. That's the narcissist. And seeks admiration. That's the narcissist, the vanity, right? The spotlight. So this often shows up as acting like the smartest person in the room, right? Who dare question me. Instead of, this is my truth, let it be. This is my truth, and walk away. This is my truth. How do you feel? Right? So when you have healed the spots of the brain that allow people to question or ask source or find out why they feel the way they do, this now becomes very broad, very open, very what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody fill that word in. But that's the aspect that is the realm of the narcissistic traits that are involved with the know-it-all personality. Okay. Now we go into the next one, which is the intellectualization or the overcompensating anxiety, right? Now these are huge because this era, this time frame always has these two. Right now is huge with these. A way to feel safe. So some people use constant information or lecturing as a way to feel safe, a defense against feeling insecure, a way to avoid vulnerability, right? It's how they actually, they look confident, but it's anxiety driven. So here's a person, maybe they're new, and everybody's old timers, right? And they've been there for a while. Now you have this newbie who is so anxious with anxiety because they want to fit in and they want to feel part of. They have to embolize that that massive. Okay, I know. Look at me. I'm here. I know. And they're trying to climb that ladder really quick, right? Yeah, that could be detrimental to them. Think about it. Or maybe we could take them aside. And maybe we can heal them ourselves as a friend and just try to say, you're coming off a little bit overbearing. You're overcompensating. You're overboard. Why are you doing that? We all don't judge you. We have nothing to judge you. You're brand new. Why don't you just come and listen for a minute and then raise as we go? So there's different ways to handle these overcompensators. And sometimes if they tend to be a major personality where they are the controller, that might be an issue too. So we're going to get into that. But that's another thing about the over intellectualizing, right? The overcompensator, trying to get that word out. And then we have another, which is low social awareness or poor communication skills, right? They don't know how to feed in. They don't know their place of the social awareness that's going around them. These individuals who they don't notice social cues. They are oblivious. Sheldon Cooper, right? Autism. Sometimes that beautiful, gifted brain that knows everything don't really have social behavioral skills. So their social behavior skills then become not good, and this is a ramification of it. They don't realize that they're monopolizing conversations. They feel they're adding, how many teachers add to the conversation, add to the group, add, blah 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 blah, and they're thinking, well, if I didn't add as a child to add to the conversation, you have some of those teachers. I grew up with some of those teachers, participation. This is your participation grade of the class. So were you over monopolizing that power because you're like, I got to get an A. And I know if everything's plausible, right? They constantly also think that they're being helpful. So this is where I believe some spiritual healers, right? And we're going to get into that, the religion and spiritual aspect of the know-it-all too. So they think that they're being helpful. So as into spirituality, they have to throw everything at them that they know, so that they know that they are both physical and metaphysical. They're on both sides of it. And so now you're having to deal with somebody who believes that what they are saying is better than anything else. I love my masters, because my master is, there's not one way to reach the highest vibration into God's heart. There's multiple ways. It's because of your energy pattern, how you figure that out. So I love that. I absolutely adore that. Everything is right on your path because you chose that path. You wrote that path. So because you are in an energy where I like to call, well, hello, like this new moon, it is taking us because it is having the ramifications of bringing stuff back in, right? So what do I always say? When you already know that there's a skeleton in that closet and it's going to face you, I've been waiting for you. Welcome. I've been waiting. So you have the skeletons. Be prepared with those skeletons for truth. Don't go and plot. Right? The plotters are bad. But knowing there's a skeleton there, why we have the skeletons, why you don't want them to come out, why you don't want to face the truth, that's on you. These people, they miss those social calls. They miss monopolizing those conversations. They're there, they're thinking they're being helpful, right? Spiritualists, healers of spirituality, they think they're being helpful. But if they're not healed, they're not helping. So I'm going to say it again and again and again. If you are a spiritual healer out there and you have not taken enough classes to heal your own traumas, what are you doing? Counselors out there, psychologists, psychiatrists, mental people who are trying to heal others. Are you healed enough yourself to do that? Are you standing on protest lines? Are you arguing with the general public? Are you divisional and posting? Think about that. Think about that big. If you are in the mental healing capacity or the physical healing capacities that use mental abilities, I beg you, please heal yourself before you put that energy into somebody else. And you're probably thinking, who's to say I'm not healed? Who's to say? There you go. There's your narcissistic trait. There's your know-it-all. Who's to say that? I didn't say that. I just said, please, right? There's a difference. If you are a healer who you believe that you have unhealed things or things make you angry more than 50% of the time in your life, you are not healed. I just throw that number out there. That is not a denomination number. It's not nothing. But I feel that if you are 50% angry You wake up and you can go through a day without being angry or pissed off or absurd about something that somebody said, did, or had, then you're good. Heal other people, help them, because you're not giving them a negative radial of a vibration. You're giving them a positive radial of vibration, generally speaking. Okay. So when they think they're being helpful, this is common in people with autistic traits because they always think they're being helpful, ADHD, and just how low emotional intelligence works. This is this low social awareness, our poor communication skills. We talked about the Asperger's, the autism, the ADD, the ADHDs. This is where this comes in. This is one of these traits, okay, that they do know, but they don't know how to socially or emotionally get that out because the brain is filled with so many facts and so much information that there's very little spot in the brain for these social communicational skills. Okay. So when we are aware, then we can be understanding. We can be patient. We can be kind. Okay. Dominate and controlling personalities. So when you have a dominant or controlling, here you go. There's the personality matrix, the controller, right? These people with dominance-oriented style of controlling, they want to lead and control the dynamic or the conversation or the event. They use knowledge as a power movement, and they feel uneasy when not in charge. So when you say, how do we know these people? Because they'll tell you. Like I told you this 3 times I had to meet this person, right? And they wanted to tell me how great they were. They wanted to tell me how they were empowered, and they wanted to tell me how they already know. At my age, I already know, right? And so I kind of threw something going, and so what's your persona of something being tainted? And all of a sudden I got the whoever, whatever, some people believe, some people don't. Okay. That was the response. It was not a response of, why do you say that? The knowledge, she didn't have the knowledge of why they were tainted. She just had the knowledge of, because she's making money with them and she's intuitive. Okay. So intuitive means that you need an object. We're going to get into that, but let's keep going. So you see where I'm going? Okay. So now we have the next one, which is hyper competitiveness, right? These individuals treat conversations as a competition and a chance to win or outperform another. They talk over others all the time, and to prove their confidence, they actually engage in other activities while somebody else is doing another thing. They can't stand it. They can't stand the spotlight or the limelight on somebody else. This is not good in any type of healing dimension when you have hyper competitiveness, because that will just at one day give you a negative radial so big that you're not going to be able, you're going to climb down that rabbit hole. And sometimes you might not be able to come out and you're going to be in that hamster wheel, right? We don't want that. Who wants that? That's kind of like, not for me. Not for me. It's definitely not for me. It could be for some of you, but it's definitely not a way to heal me or balance and align with my energy to others. Again, I have found it just easy. Excuse me a second. I need to use the restroom. Yeah. And just walk away, go in the bathroom, tap, breathe, do whatever you need to do to come back to your balance. Right. They're hard. Some of them, some of these over questionable people are very hard. And it's a very difficult way if you don't know how to maneuver some of these conversations. So now we have actual high expertise plus poor humility, right? So now we have a dual. Some people generally know a lot. However, knowing a lot, does that mean you have a lack of humility? Struggle to explain without lecturing? or don't know how to dial down their expertiseness because of their persona of authoritative or controlling powers. This is this is well intentioned. However, it's annoying of the know-it-all because they get louder, they get bolder, they get wider with their emotions and their gestures, all to proclaim the satisfaction that they know all. You step down, right? Okay. Then we go with the controlling aspects of overconfident cognitive biasm. That's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you want to know. So it's overconfident cognitive biasm. That's the name for it, Dunning-Kruger effect. But these are the people who know they just know a little. They know a little. However they believe they know a lot, right? So crystals. So geode. What is a geode? Everything's a geode that's encapsulated. It's a geode, right? It's a geode. So we either have geodes and amethyst, or we have a geode in agates, or we have a geode. But the name geode in itself, when you hear somebody speak, I'm just picking this as an excuse, they're like, that's a geode. Well, everything's a geode if it's encapsulated. That is just rock formation encapsulation. So that's what I mean by they know a little, however, they believe it to be a lot, right? It's just not how that works. So they're unaware of their ignorance. They speak with extreme confidence, and they're correct others when they're wrong. So I was doing I regret how it came out of my mouth, but I was doing an energy circle, fire circle one time. And I tried to explain a difference in a type of animal. And the person kept saying and telling me forcibly. And I'm like, I understand that's what you want to call it. That's not what the person is calling this particular animal. But I understand. And I had to say it was such because they wouldn't let it go. Okay. When you say Native Indian, it was kind of this. It's like, oh, that was a Native Indian. No, it's an Iroquois. And I'm like, not really. It was actually a Sheshequin. No, it was an Iroquois. It was actually a Sheshequin. No, it was. And you're like, I understand that the Iroquois took over the Sheshequin Indians or the Susquehannock Indians, but that's not what I'm trying to tell you. Before that instant happened, it was dubbed this. And I'm telling the story of this particular passage. The person couldn't let it go. And I finally, in the circle, I'm like, stop, please, stop. And I understand that was not the right way. It wasn't. I should have, listen, I should have done nothing. It played out exactly how to play out. It did. Meaning you may think you know it all, but I believe there's more truth to it. But I just said but too. I'm sure some people are listening going, MJ, you said should, you said try, you said but. I know, they're hard. I will conquer it before I die. I promise I will conquer it. So anyway, these are the overconfident cognitive biasms that they will have within the know-it-all fields, right? So then we go to personality disorders. These are really less common in the know-it-alls because these are the narcissistic personality disorder. We talked about a couple of them that do lap, but they're not a narcissist. Cancel, clear, delete. They could be. However, I'm not here to judge or put a title on somebody. I'm just telling you the traits, okay? So personality disorders, less common, the narcissistic, the obsessive compulsive personality disorder, the OCPDs, the histrionic traits, that these are all created by rigid or attention-seeking know-it-all behaviors. These things they pull from them, not necessarily meaning that they have these traits of those disorders. So there isn't a universal fixed number, but there could be maybe 8, but However, there could be at least 8 major categorized personality patterns commonly producing the know-it-all behavior. There's those 8 categories. So when you sit to which type do they fall under, now you have to be questioning all of these that we talked about: personality disorder, overconfident cognitive biasm, actual high expertise and poor humility, hyper competitiveness, dominant or controlling personality, low social awareness, poor communicating skills, intellectualizing or overcompensating anxiety, and the narcissistic traits. So they're the 8 that that we're talking about today, that they all can actually bleed into another trait and aligning with somebody if you know them, so that we don't always have to go full throttle in. Thanks, Jackie. I see you there. Okay. I want to, when we go into, because my life lesson was in the new age, in the spiritual world. So I want to take the psychological and social reasonings of the know-it-all behavior and why you see it so much in different fields. I can only talk about my field, right? And so I'm going to talk about my field, which is new age spiritual world, or a higher vibrational region of God, and why I get a lot of these know-it-alls in that realm. So, but I want to take a break really quick. And I think what we're going to do, what's a really good one that we want to do? You know who we haven't talked and listened to for a while? Never Been to Spain. It's by Andrew Wiscombe, and it's a beautiful song, and it's a rewrite, and I just love it. And since we're traveling and since we're all over, we've never been to Spain. So let's talk about it. So I'm MJ here in the world of conscious positive thinking, right here on the beautiful station of Military Broadcast Radio, or mbradio.us. You can look us up anywhere that has a platform like Spotify, iTunes, Roku, and now we're going to play it, and we'll be right back.
Well, I've never been to Spain, but I kinda like the music. See, the ladies are insane there, and they sure know how to use it. They don't abuse it, never gonna lose it. I can't refuse it. Well, I've never been to England, but I kinda like the Beatles. Ooh, I headed for Las Vegas, only made it out to Needles. Can you feel it? Must be near it. Feels so good, feels so good. Well, I've never been to heaven, but I've been to Oklahoma. Oh, they tell me I was born there, but I really don't remember. In Oklahoma, not Arizona. What does it matter? What does it matter? Well, I've never been to Spain, but I kinda like the music. can't refuse it.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.com.
That Beaker, he looks serious on that motorcycle. I have to go back and look at that. If his teeth are shown, because he'll get bugs in the teeth, or maybe he's just closing his mouth not to get bugs in his teeth. I don't know. We like Beaker. Poor little Beakers. Okay. Woo. So we're talking about the infamous know-it-all, right? The kind that are extremely smart, where you want to call and say, hey, I got a question because I know you know the answer, and you just don't want to look it up and take the time to look it up. You know they already have the answer. That's a different type of know-it-all, right? We're talking about the know-it-alls that truly don't have a lot of thought, but they just want to argue. They just want to, they want to be wrong and strong, right? That's what we call them, wrong and strongs, right? Because they really have to try to figure out a way of making themselves look so superior to everybody else. They're the ones we're talking about. All right. So, all right. So we're gonna step in now. Ooh, I gotta take a big dive because this is my field. This is my industry. So I want to talk about those in the new age in the spiritual world. I am not talking about this. I want to hurt anybody's feelings. I want to talk about it to enlighten people on an awareness of what is happening, right? I just told you my masters were, you lead your truth, your journey. Pay no mind to whatever. And if everybody's trying to sell you something or a pitch, and this doesn't feel good to you at the moment, walk away saying, that sounds awesome, but I'm not sure that it's going to work for me today. I'm just not feeling it. The minute you say that I am not feeling it, or I don't have that energetic connection, most of these new age and spiritual leaders need to stop right there. Stop convincing somebody, because when you start convincing in new age or spirituality, now you're talking about the greeds of money, because it's a choice, and we all have a choice. We all have a choice of how we resonate with God. There's multiple denominations and multiple religions, and this world is built by God. And the only people who don't believe that are atheists out of all the denominations, right? So in God we trust, in God we honor. So if somebody is not feeling your vibration or your energy, it's okay. They're not on your path. So if you are a spiritualist out there listening, I know that trying to step into that world and coming out of the B2B world is where we all want to be. And it's difficult, because I don't care what side of the ratio you're on, but capitalism, you have to have it, even in trades. You can be your own entrepreneur and doing trading, but the bottom line is you have to have some resource to live, unless you live off the grid and you plant your own food and you milk your own cows and you have your own water and you have your own power. Then I don't care. But in everyday life, even in Roman times, in the Roman Empire, in the dynasties, in the Chinese dynasties powers, in the Egyptian times, these were all people who had a trade. When we all have a trade, I am not a carpenter. I can hire a carpenter. See, there's the capital again. I'm going to hire this. What am I going to, can I trade out my specialties with the carpenter? Sure, if he wants to. Can I, take him on a cruise for whatever? Sure, if he wants to. But most people are going to tell you, I'm sorry, I really need the money because I got to pay my rent, or I have to pay my electric bill, or I have to pay. So capitalism is a part of everybody's life, whether you like it or not. So if you are a very poor person bitching about capitalism, and I'm going to say it just like that, how do you want to run a business if you don't have money to pay for the employees to run the business? Think about that. So for the know-it-alls, right, that's an issue, right? Because what's happening is you work to get the money to purchase what you want. I don't care. You can look at any ancient civilization. There's always a barter, a trade, something, cash exchange. There's always some type of energetic exchange of whatever it is. So I want to make that very clear. It's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the people who constantly want to say that their product is better because of. And I had to learn the lesson. Why? Because I took classes, and I took them, I don't know how many classes. I've always taken these types of classes. It's interesting. I love theologies. I love learning theologies. I love understanding where God imprinted his values in different energies and in different ways. So for me, I loved learning that. I love seeing the same energy patterns in the religions that are balanced. These religions, though, there's judgments against some of these religions from different other, like there is a religion base that is so judgmental, and their whole thing is not to be judgmental. So you often hear me say, hello, why are we being judgmental? Where's that coming from? I thought you were of this denomination of religion. That's an unhealed person. And I need to make that clear before I get into this, because there are some spiritualists who listen to my podcast, and I want them to understand where I'm coming from with this, right? Energy is sacred. Your energy as a healer or a spiritualist is sacred. The grounds that you walk on and your sixth sense of space is your sacred space. And understand that. I'm not trying to pull this away, so I want to be very clear here. Okay, let's get into it. Enough with that. The know-it-all, especially common into the new age and spiritual world, it is not that everyone in that space is like this, but the environment naturally attracts the rewards to certain behaviors to be the know-it-all within this realm, the new age spiritual realm. Okay. Why? Number one, there is no clear evidence standards. Zero. And what is actual evidence and clear by science going into the void, science going into the frequencies, science going in? Yes, you can stand on that platform. But there is no scientific peer review. There's no agreed upon rules of truth. And there's no objective way to clarify your claims of any of it. In spirituality and new age beliefs, there's no scientific peer review. There's no agreed upon rules of truth, and there's no objective way verifying the claims, which is why every religion and denomination seek for history, seek for the archaeological digs, seek to find those truths. Okay. They are probabilities, and they are out there questioning the whys, right? So historian buffs, this is part of these know-it-alls, right? This is why they have to make a strong platform. So people can confidently claim, I know the universe's law. I know your energy. I know your past life, and I can see the truth, and you can't. These are what you'll hear from these people. Okay. That is their truth, and they're allowed it. However, if you confidently claim that you know for a fact God and universe, you don't have facts. You have a vibration, and you have a feeling, and you truth of who your energy possessing is. That's on you. But in all fairness, even as a spiritualist, where's the scientific evidence? I have faith. I have faith that it exists. And that's all I need. I'm not a know-it-all, but I say in my faith, in my practice, I have faith that this exists. That is my truth. I don't go and telling people that is not universal law. That is not God's way. That is your energy. No. So energy exists. We can prove it. Vibrations exist. We can prove it. How you feel your energy with somebody else exists. It is a gut feeling. It is endorphins. There's a lot of different things that make you say, I feel good with this. And nobody's pressuring you, but you still feel good. That's not a know-it-all. Okay. It is when they profess things that have not been. Okay. Religions. This is the hard thing with religions, right? Egyptology with the sun gods, right? With all these different demigods. That's a hard thing. Now, to make a saint, somebody who was manly living like Jesus Christ himself and understood the powers of man, right? He had the powers of man to enlighten us how man needs to move forward, enlighten us of how we can heal our bodies, enlighten us of having faith. I hope you heard that. So when there's no way to measure correctness, confidence replaces accuracy. So the know-it-all stands on a platform that knows that no matter what, you can't deny it or approve it. It just exists. That is a very hard situation. Okay, so then we go to spirituality can become a source of an identity. Some people build their entire self-worth around being, the being, right? They proclaim that they have become awakened. They have proclaimed that they have more consciousness. They proclaim that they have higher vibrations than anybody. And they also have more spirituality evolved than anybody else. I am not talking about facts. When you went and you did the work and you did the journeys and you did the classes and you understand the vibrations, the consciousness, the awakening, and the spiritual involvement, it still becomes a source of identity of unknownness. But it is of faith, like all religions, that it exists. That identity leads to feeling superior, taking down others, and acting like possesses secret knowledge. If you have one of my teachers, one of my master teachers, why do you have to have everybody know how many past lives you have? Why does everybody have to know all your gifts? Why does everybody have to know what you deem? Why does everybody have to, why is that competition within that? Well, that's your personality matrix. It goes back into, are you balanced enough to, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This is my journey. Why do I care what you think? Why do I care if you don't think that, I oppose this or I oppose that? It doesn't make a difference what I think. It doesn't make a difference when somebody else thinks. It's how you contribute into a higher positive realm of society and yourself, honestly. So learning spirituality, you see a lot of these know-it-alls because they get a cleaner vibration pattern in their centers and they raise a notch and they think they know the world. But yet when they go and take a course and they're realizing, wait, I don't know the world. Wait, what is happening? And so now the next level and the next level until they start feeling really light, right? You start to feel like, oh, that's a lot of weight taken off of me. And most of it is because of the shame and the sin that the religions put upon, right? These are the 10 commandments. Don't obey them. And if you do, that's a skeleton in your closet. Every religion has them. But if we follow that religion instead of following humanity and following heart chakra, following unconditional love, following balance and alignment, and it's hard because we've been conditioned not to. Make sense? Okay. So that identity, then, if that is the case, it leads to feeling superior or talking down to others or acting like they possess secret knowledge. This specialness then can drive know-it-all behavior. You understand? Okay. So I need to go back to the narcissist trait, right? So now if we have a narcissistic trait that thrives in the spiritual spaces, woo, and we do, yep, spiritual communities can unintentionally attract people with grandiosity, with the need to be admired, with the belief that they have special wisdom and powers, right? They believe this to be their truth. And they're now unintentionally attracting people who also believe in that. Instead of, I am better than you, they say, I am more awakened than you. You don't know what you're talking about. I have the relationship with my team and my God. Your ego is blocking you. Mine isn't. When a healer says that's judgment and ego, let's work on balance. It is not the same thing as boldly telling somebody, that's your ego, not me. Go away. Ego and judgment have become the forefront winners of a lot of different ideologies out there, because it is man's conditioned mechanism to give these ideologies. And they're very deep and they're very hard. Think about a soul's life, how much it's journeyed into man's awakening, man's inventions, man's proposals, man's decisions for law, man's decisions to create order, right? These are man decisions that we now follow and claim it to be. Some of man's conditioning you'd hear on my station going, and who makes those decisions? Man? And who elects that to be that? So this is grounding work. And how I practice coming out of the hard boldness of that's not what I was taught. No, because my body and my soul wasn't ready. So my mouth open, sticking up my butthole, my bungie hole, because my mouth years ago would have been, that's not how you do it. That's not right. That's not. I became that ambiguous person years ago. I did. That's not right. You're either going to follow me or get out. That's that controlling power that I had. I was the controller, the Capricorn controller, right? No, now I look at it going, that is awesome. If that works for you, that is brilliant. I hope you can find peace, love, balance, and alignment with it. That's my answer to most people now. But I had to learn that. And it's hard. It is so hard because there are so many ill people who don't believe that they are ill-spoken or ill-heard. And that's where it becomes having to use our own knowledge and our own powers and our own strengths within us. So instead of I am better than you, it is, wow, have you tried? Just ask them, have you tried this? You shouldn't say try. Have you given this any thought? Wait, maybe it's a proposal. Maybe something like that. When this happens, it's spirituality, superiority disguised as enlightenment. It really is. It is a forethought to having to try to go forward without harassing or without bannering or without needing that sail to keep you in it. You don't need to have sails in spirituality. And that's the mistake I think a lot make, is they want to stay in that high endorphin vibration so long without any diebacks that they will do anything to get somebody to have an exchange of energy. And sometimes it doesn't work in our favor. Sometimes it works against us. So I had to learn that balance. If I only had one student, then that's all I was required at the moment. And if I can advance one student higher, or one person who comes to a healing session higher and better, that they were better today than they were yesterday, I did my job. I did my job as a spiritual warrior, as a Knights Templar. I did it as a Reverend of Light. I did it. I did what I came to do, which was be that person for others to open up that venue. Be that person. Don't be the know-it-all. if they don't choose the same steps that you chose, it's because they didn't have those life learning lessons in their life. So again, if you are a spiritualist listening, or a new age, or any part of a religional based society for healing mechanics, sometimes the way that we work does not associate with the level of energy or the practice of where those people are. Try to form yourself that way. Okay, let's move on. Complex psychological topics are explained too simply to have a know-it-all. Subjects like consciousness. There are so many Eckhart Tolle's out there. There is Boji out there. There is Satri out there. There is Aaron Abke, right? They all talk on topics that they're so deep, like consciousness. What is consciousness? Trauma. What is true trauma to somebody that's not trauma to somebody else? I accepted my dad and my family growing up in the era of children being whacked in the ass. I've accepted it. I'm not going to hold my family traumatized to those beatings, because that's what it was. It's like I can't hold my forefathers responsible for claiming any territory. It's the way it was. So the people who constantly want to have a stance on something that is so old, that's deep. That's deep and unhealthy, right? It is because there's no movement going forward. You're constantly looking in the past. So we really need to heal this, and then we can move forward in engaging with the topics instead of hatred things coming out about them. Okay, so these consciousness, trauma, healing, human behavior are all often reduced to simple, these are the rules, right? This gives people a feeling of mastery, even when they're repeating oversimplified ideas. Oversimplification breeds overconfidence. Oversimplification breeds overconfidence, especially when it comes to healers with consciousness, trauma, healing, and human behavior. Remember, as a healer, as a therapist, we are here to assist. We can't do their work. They have to do the work. And you know, if you are a true healer, a true life coach, or a true psychologist, or a true mental health person, or a true caregiver, you see that light bulb come on, the aha moment where that radio from negative to positive went on. You see it. It is I mean, I can see people's energy. So that, to me, I can see it. I'm like, there you go. Good girl. Good boy. Right? There you go. Come out of old, even if it's like, that's not what I've learned. And it's deep. Some of the family traits are deep. From the time you were born, they're deep. And yet you don't think there's any possible way. How could this be wrong? This is what we do since birth. It's not. It's just that what you did at birth and what they're doing at birth are two different things, because of society, because of the ancestral line, because of the government, because of the state, because of federal, because a lot of energy. There's a lot of different energies that go into that to explain something that are too simple. Yeah. Okay. All right. Teachers are influencers, encourage guru dynamics. In many spiritual new age spaces, teachers gain status by either claiming special insight, positioning themselves as guides, or implying others are less evolved. You can find spiritualists going, I know because I have my team. I know because I talk to God. I know because I have that inkling. I have that feeling, and I'm staying with it. So because they had what we call download from our guides, right? Our angels, God, we get this premonitions, or we get these ideologies. It's not that you're 100% right and everybody else is wrong. Let's back that up. And you can hear them. Let's go online to any of them. New age people or listen to people speak, and they're dwarting and they're pointing and they're this. Right. Because my team told me, my guides told me, my angel had this and that. Listen with grace. Listen with humility. Don't become a know-it-all, because trying to explain your third eye DNT opening is, try it. Because some of the professors and some of the doctors out there, like Dr. Joe Dispenza or Cryon or any of them, it's hard to explain it. There's no facts to explain it. Theoretical physicists are trying to explain it. They're trying to merge it. They're trying to show the evidence, the proof that energy in heaven exists. They're trying. And that's all we can do. Keep pushing forward. Because miracle things like frequencies and electromagnetics, these are already relative to us. So now we have these people, the teachers and the influencers, and the many spiritual new age spaces. Teachers gain their status because they're claiming, again, of a special insight, or they're positioning themselves as gods, implying others are less evolved or less there. Followers then adopt this tone themselves. So if your teacher or your masters are teaching you this is the only way and there's nothing else, blah, 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 with everything, that's, you walk away. Walk away from those practitioners. As a spiritualist, I'm telling you, because there is more than one way to reach the highest vibration possible, which is called enlightenment. It's plausible. Mother Teresa was one of them. Look how beautiful. Padre Pio was one of them. Look how beautiful. There are people, Wan Yin was another one in multiple different countries. She exists as a person of a mother nurturer to give food to the poor. They deitized her as a man when she crossed over. And some people call her Quan Wan, Quan Yin, Yin Wan. They're all the same. But that's another form. But she never protested her ways to be better than anybody else. That's you don't want them at all, right? So then you have people are searching for meaning, which makes certainty attractive. So that somebody would be going through a crisis, healing traumas, or trying to understand life. Confident answers feel comforting. So the know-it-alls have that confidence and have that feeling of the comforting. The more certainty someone projects, the more power they gain, even if their knowledge is superficial. So when you know things have healed your body, and you know that different mantras or different prayers or different bhaktis all come with whatever you prayed for happen, the power of prayer, or the knowledge that you had because your soul has been here so long. It's not a know-it-all, but you can understand the trauma and give helpful directives of it. When somebody's a pessimist about something, I don't tend to put them on my table because I'm working against the energy. I don't want to work against energy. You either believe to be or you don't, right? It's like going to church. If you believe in God, then you want to take the blood and the bread of him, the body and blood of Christ, right? That is the communion, is the wine, turn water into wine, turn the bread, right? Sharing, gathering. If you don't feel connected, why are you taking it? It's simple. You either beliefs are echo chamber reinforced beliefs. They really are. Groups often repeat the same spiritual ideas or ideologies. Everything happens for a reason. You can't make this shit up. Just raise your vibration. The universe sent you a sign. These are faith and belief systems, but they are faith and belief systems for people who are on that journey. It's not a faith and belief system that you're going to push onto others, because they're probably not healed enough to understand it. They're probably not near enough. I was told by so many people when I would go through an event in my life for me to learn my life lessons, they constantly would tell me, MJ, you're speaking in a higher vibration than a common vibration of man can understand. That was an awareness. I wasn't trying to be a know-it-all. It comes out of my mouth what I hear. And what I hear, and I don't understand all of it, which is, I'm a why girl. You can ask any of my teachers, I'm a why. Why? Why does that happen? Where did it come from? Why? We don't need to know that. Yes, I do. I need to know that. I need to figure out why. Is there a confidence level for me to know why? Is there a reason for the season for everything? There has to be a reason. But what is that reason? Where can I, and I'm that go-getter. I am let's just get to the bottom line and let's go forward. Where did it start? Let's just clear it up. Because I don't want to sit in that ugly energy, right? So again, we're talking the know-it-alls. When I hear somebody speak and it's not in a vibration that I can understand, I used to be that person 15, 20 years ago to go, that's not right. That's not even close to being right. That's not what I was taught. And then I would get this is this. But where did they get it? Man. Man. It's man. Having faith in your creator is really playing for this knowledge of the know-it-all, because there's no evidence, there's no proof. So we go through these, and hearing agreement all the time convinces people they're absolutely right in spirituality. So they speak more authoritative. So if you go to somebody who does readings, let's just say whatever readings they are, tarot card, oracle readings, whatever, the people reading, tea leaves, they're doing these readings. They're connected to an energy to do the reading. The energy that they're connecting to, I will guarantee, because we all have to go through the same life lessons in order to get our wings. So I'll guarantee that it's hitting on some of the event of energy that is happening with them as well. That's like the moon cycle. The moons always bring in a certain energy. The moons always bring in a certain life lesson. If you don't need it, the moons don't affect you. If you need it, well, it's going to come and you're going to say, well, hello, I've been expecting you. Oh, let's just get this over with a smile, because it convinces our ego to shut down. Own your truths. I own it. I was a very authoritative, controlling person. I was a questioner. And if I questioned to know, then I was that know-it-all, which then aspirates me from having the know-it-all from being painful to saying, I understand what you're trying to say, but I love you. And maybe that's your energy in your course, but excuse me, I have to use the bathroom. That's how I do it now, because I am aware. It's the awareness part. Okay. They also have the know-it-all issues with New Age and spirituality because they have a lack of critical thinking and sometimes encouraged. So some circles discourage questioning. Your ego is resisting. That's what they'll tell you. Oh, it's your ego. That's why you're resisting it. You're not awakened enough to understand. When you get there, then you'll understand. Right? Or your vibration is so low, it's impeding on everything else. Yes, these are terminologies we use, but we don't need to tell the know-it-all, and the know-it-all doesn't need to tell them what they're wearing. So if you're in a confrontation with a know-it-all, then it is a backup going, this, I believe, is part of judgment and ego. Maybe it's on me. Maybe it's on you. Father, forgive them for their trespasses. Father, forgive me for not being aware, for not knowing. It's simple. There's no argument. It's just simple, right? It just shuts down the dialogue and elevates the speaker into a know-it-all rule is basically what it does, and for people to become unaware. So short answer, You see a lot of the know-it-all behavior in the new age and the spiritual world because of the environment of unknown facts, right? So rewards certainty over accuracy. It lets people build identity around being more evolved. It lacks objective standards, and it attracts those seeking power, meaning, and validation. Does that make sense? Woo! I hope we learned something. And I hope, like I said, I chose my denomination or my industry because if I choose something that I am in, I've played that part. I've played it. It didn't work. I've played the emphasis to try to bring in, the followers, the soldiers. I have learned that trying to push a narrative or trying to push something that people are not healed enough or energetically enough to do creates chaos within. It's kind of like people who want to have Kundalini yoga. Well, if you didn't do the work in opening up Kundalini, why the hell are you allowing these people to open that up? That is a disaster with people. It is plainly a disaster. So I, for one, probably would not do that. I wouldn't allow somebody. I would find out where they are in vibration or where they are in their healing process in order to say, you need to be aware that doing this can cause more trauma. You need to be aware. And so when you become aware, not know it all, but it's an awareness, right? That was my word for probably a good 2 years by one of my masters who made me aware of awareness. When you become, and she taught it so beautifully too. And MJ, just sit still. Sit still. Create your energy. Sit on the ground. Create that energy. Now become aware of air. I go, what? She goes, become aware of your air. I go, air? How the hell? The controller, the know-it-all, right? How do you want me to do that? Well, I could just see air. And I can imagine the unhealed MJ and the patience of Job that my masters had to ascertain for my mind, my controller mind, to let go. Step back, MJ, step back. You're looking so far deep, you can't see what's in front of your face. It was an awareness that I will never forget. And since then, I've used the word become aware. Become aware of the air. Become aware of the trees. Become aware of the grass. You walk on it, but are you aware of what it is? The stones that you walk on. Are you aware of the frequency that they're holding to have your body? Are you aware of the situation you're going to walk into that room? And are you prepared? The awareness. I loved that word and I needed it to heal me. And I hope everyone has that same healing modality inside of them, that when you become aware that you don't have patience, or you become aware that you are overriding everybody's conversation, when you become aware that you become an annoying talker, or you become aware of shutting people's own truths and thwarting them down, then you step out of that know-it-all figure, and then you become aware of it, and then you were like, I don't need to be mad with this. I don't need to be angry with this. I don't need to be anything besides who I am. And I can easily just take a breath and going, that sounds awesome for your journey. Congratulations. You found your lane to be in. Maybe someday I'll find that same lane because it doesn't resonate with me at the moment. But your truth is validating for you. And you walk away. It's easy. Words and tones and actions just correlate to a point where you're like, you don't need all this. This is causing trauma. This is causing anger, resentment, and unbalancedness and unpeacefulness. And then I had to find the patience. And that's where my year, as I told you last week, 2025, was to find that patience. So my know-it-alls, I now have that patience. I was so happy how I handled the know-it-all this past week. I literally, and I asked a question and she argued. I go, it was just a question. She still wanted to argue. It's okay. It's on her. Her life trauma, her triggers, her events, and her mournfulness is going to take place sooner or later. And for me, I can just remain in peace. That's what I want you all to do. I want you all to remain in peace, balance, and alignment. Even if you can't see it, it doesn't matter. It's what somebody else perceives. And if they perceive it, you're not debating, you're in casual conversation. Now, I understand if it's a job and you have to balance, be aware of who you're balancing with. Do they have one of those traits that we discussed? Do they have an ailment or a health concern? Are they on the spectrum? Are they young and not have enough experience? These are all things that man needs to look at, and man needs to turn around and go, and God bless you, child. Father, forgive them. They lost their way. That's all you got to do. Don't take that energy. Take their energy and take it around. Put your, this is my sacred space. It's a challenge because I know next week I'm going to be challenged too. There's going to be people in my life that I know, and I am waiting, and you'll hear me say, hi, I've been expecting you. I've been waiting for you. It's time. It's time for me. And that's okay too. It's time to put and squash those things. Maybe they just don't know each other well enough. And you have to understand that too. So when somebody, that's a big one. I forgot to put that one on there. That's a big one. So remember too, if you're trying to figure out somebody, you're going to question them. If they say no, you're going to tell them why it's wrong, because you're already fighting something that you're just not sure of. You're like, you're pushing, they're pulling, and this is what's going on because you're trying to figure out who this person is. You really don't know them. You know them by name, but you just don't really know them. The know-it-all. So that being said, folks, I could take another commercial break and then we could finish this up, or I could just leave it right here, which I think I'm going to do. I believe that we've discussed this enough that if nobody has any questions and nobody has any forethought of it, then I think it's time to just settle this in the awareness of where we are. And we move forward now that we know. Knowledge is power. So tonight, let me just tell you some things. Tonight, Beyond the Headlines will be back. Terry and Joel are off the cruise, and I am in my good health. So the three of us will be on. It's a 1-hour show. It's from 7 to 8. We try to take topics and twist them to positives, or we allow people to know what's going on so we can also twist that positive. And then you'll see me again on Thursday on the H-Train show with my good buddy Joel, who is also the CEO of MBR. He has a show called H-Train. So I'll be on there Thursday morning from 9 to 11. Oh, no, I won't be. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. No, I won't be there either. Oops. Sorry, Joel. I'm not there yet. So no, it's Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. He's writing to me going, we're off. Yes, that's right. We are off. So then have a blessful, and most caring and most thankful with grace and humility Thanksgiving ever. Keep moving forward. Keep having joy in your life. Keep having that balance. And next Monday, I'll be doing my show next Monday, but I won't be doing the Beyond the Headlines because I'm traveling. And guess where I'm going? You won't believe it. I'm going to the main studio of MBR next week. First time. I'm excited. I'm excited to meet all of my beautiful people there in Denver. And it will surely be just a nonstop. I'm only there 3 days. But it's going to be a nonstop. And then I'm just very excited for it. And I cannot wait to meet you all. So stay tuned. And we'll be right back on this happy, merrily little station where a positive consciousness will lead to positive, loving living. I promise you, it always does. So with that, love you all. Signing off.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.